Hey guys, so welcome back. It's been a very, like, it feels like it's been a very long time, but like October energy in itself is like whoosh. Like there's things that like I knew were coming, right? On a predictive scale for the collective, but knowing it's coming and living through it is definitely two different things. So it's definitely an like shout out to my star seeds, my light workers, my healers, like all of you guys out there. The awakening process is more for us right now, I want to say on this collective is more of the embodiment, right? Which is interesting. So let's talk about October. And I think like the last video I left off is like October is just like a closeout month or continue to be a closeout month and like, starting your new cycles and twin flames and unions and coming into play and everything that doesn't belong is falling off and tower moment, tower moment, tower moment, tower moment. So I could tell you, right, just by I want to say like last week. So like as I'm recording this, it's Friday, October something, October 24th. It's early in the morning. It's very early in the morning. And I want to say like last Friday, the new moon started to hit me. So I like started getting shaky, right? It seems to be like my new thing. Like my body starts shaking and not like I mean, like, again, you want to take it into a human perspective. It kind of looks like anxiety, but it's definitely not, right? So whatever, I like started shaking. I think I shook all through the weekend. I felt like claustrophobic. Like everything was like I was just waiting for it, right? I was just like waiting for the other shoe to drop. I don't know why, but like that's the best way that I could explain it in human terms. And I was just like, oh God, like the illusions, the like and again, I'm pretty advanced, so and I always find that like hysterical because I'm like, if I'm pretty advanced and like went through what I've gone through and feel this way, like I could only imagine like the ones that are like starting their awakening journey. But it's not about them right now. It's about us and closing out of the timeline. So, I've firsthand, right? And I've been on the twin flame journey forever, and I've actually signed myself off because you can do that. However, some contracts are not meant to be signed off until they're literally unraveled and, down to 0 point. So I did mention that, like a lot of unions, or it looks like you're coming into union, a lot of relationships are coming into head. Um, and getting rid of the distortion and the density and taking it down to 0 point. So no matter which way you go from there, you're at 0 point. So you're starting from 0 point. So even like if your relationship took over, took over and you did come into full union, you'd start on a neutral level because you're starting from 0 point. But if not, and this is where, I got my personal experience comes in, you unravel everything, right? All the density, all the chaos, all of this, all of that. And it's just to close out that cycle. So you're starting from 0 point, and then, you get the freedom to do whatever it is that you want to do, moving forward. And it's funny because like, the things that come up that you already dealt with. So basically it's more of like a test than a lesson. Because like we're kind of done with lessons on this collective anyway. It's more of like, okay, like this is how, your new perspective, you see it, right? After you embody certain things, you just look at things like a whole lot differently. And watch them play out. And like and the detachment, and I just watched it unravel. And I was just like, this is crazy, right? Like it's crazy how it's unraveling, like exactly how me and others, like I've been talking about. And I was just like crying, laughing. Like I think I may have like cried, like for real. Maybe like for 2 seconds over this. And I was like, this is like, and it was just because it was a release. But other than that, I was like, holy shit, like it literally unraveled to 0 point. And like, I feel like this huge weight lifted off me, right? It's everything that you were holding on. And this could be for any relationship, right? It could be family dynamic, work situation, friendships, anything that has not been aligned and is not going to be aligned for you moving forward. If it didn't crumble under the new moon, well, it's definitely going to crumble out by the end of this year, especially the end of this month, right? So, it's beyond like mind blowing to me. And I'm just like, wow, like I can't believe like Hen, because like my soul was like nice and calm, besides the fact that I was jumping out of my skin. But I come to realize, right? I have come to realize since August that this is how my body, and the irony of like since I've been back from Europe and I was only there for like a week. But like since I've been back, that's how my body reacts to being here and knowing that something's coming. And it's just so bizarre that like I literally feel like I'm bouncing out of my skin and I'm suffocating and there's like no, like no exit, but like I'm aware, right? I know exactly what the pattern is. So I was like, oh, this has got to be a good one, right? Because it's like my entire body is just like out of it. And then on top of that, I want to say like by the end of the weekend, so even before the new moon hit, so like Monday, I was so exhausted. So like this entire week, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, today, the first day I don't feel exhausted. I have to be honest. It started like yesterday, like by yesterday, last night, I was like, okay, I finally don't feel like completely knocked on my ass anymore. But I had to integrate all of those days of integration. I was like, oh my God. And let me tell you, I felt light, right? Like you get the flickering, right? Your soul's like, ooh, something great is coming, like no tower moment, no nothing, like something, like something good is coming. And you're getting like this excitement, but you're like knocked on your ass. And I will be the first one to say that if you don't take that opportunity and like rest when you need to, the universe will make it. So you are knocked on your ass and, have no choice. So I really learned to listen. Took me a very long time. It took me a very long time to listen. But like I finally learned I learned to listen. So I was laying down, wasn't really napping because I sleeping is like overrated to me, but like as long as you're in like a peaceful meditative state without even meditating, just like just zoned out, it's just as good, right? Because you're like your entire body is relaxed, you're in receiving mode, integration mode, embodiment, right? Um, it's just crazy though. Like it's just crazy. Like, I mean, I even found myself coloring things that like I haven't colored it since 2020, right? And I was like, went through this like coloring book. It was like this adult Christmas book. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like finishing the things that I started in 2020. And I found that to be very interesting, as well. It's like I was like literally wrapping up, and like sewing the holes, like looping the holes. To move forward. So that's how October has been. That's how the new moon has been. And I know that there have been, tons of contracts just being wrapped up and I want to say thrown away, but not really thrown away because wrapped up. Like you wrapped it up, you sealed it, you took it down to 0 point, you healed yourself. Well, you made sure that you embodied the healing because you were healing yourself the whole entire time. You have managed detachment. I want to say if you're watching this, you definitely have managed that. The art of detachment, and the art of loving yourself and choosing you over any situation that comes up. And that I think has been like a huge game changer, in 2025, whereas you did really have to, put yourself first. You did really have to deal with everything where situations that would replay on loop where you didn't choose yourself and you really had to come to terms and take accountability for your actions and, really embody that, right? Integrate and embody that you did put yourself in those situations, but you're not that person anymore. And that's okay that you did that because at that point, that was your survival. That was you, that was the version of you that had all these, belief systems and all of this. And, the more you awaken and detach even from the matrix, the more interesting it becomes, right? So yes, the journey is lonely when you start to detach from the matrix. Absolutely, right? You start realizing and remembering things that, anyone would, in their right minds or in their right, I would say, matrix mind would think that you're absolutely fucking bonkers, right? You start talking about the Anunnaki, you start talking about the reptilians, you start talking about the original blueprint of Earth, Lemuria, Atlantis, Mu, ancient Egypt. And I'm talking about like ancient Egypt. I forgot the term. I don't know why it's, but like, before Cleopatra, ancient Egypt. You start talking about the Egyptian Council, High Egyptian Council. You start talking about like, your position not here and what you do when you're not in a physical body. A lot of us start to realize that this is our first lifetime, like being born into this identity and being stuck here, and then realizing that okay, a lot of us came in for a real purpose, which would be to help clear the grids, to fix the grids, to, the ley lines and stuff, because we couldn't get in, we couldn't have access anymore, to walk-ins. So we had to be, birthed in, uh, birthed, whatever, into the timeline. And there's like no escape route, right? So a lot of us are adjusting to that. So me in particular, right? It's realizing that your human vessel has been with you for a long time and is going to continue to be with you for a long time, and to not take yourself out of it as much. So like I am one to just, flee out as fast as I can. And I have to realize that, I have to be grounded here. I have to be grounded in the physical. I have to, yes, do my mission, right? Run my mission, which I, getting really tired of running alone, I have to be honest, but whatever. Running your mission. And now because you're here on the earth plane, and you're kind, you are stuck here. Let's just be honest, right? You want to call it stuck, you're stuck, right? But you're detached from the matrix. So it's like you're like, okay, so I'm here. Now I have to enjoy the life, right? But I also have I'm running a mission. I'm trying to like, not get sucked back in because I have children that are two teenagers that are like completely attached to the Matrix. And it's like, oh my God, like, and then you don't want to do mundane, boring things all the time because you're like, I don't want to talk about school. I don't want to talk about really anything that's not high and enlightened. I want to talk about like, let's talk about like when we were back on Sirius, like in a meeting, if you want to call it a meeting, but like, like in, like, sitting on council, like I want to talk about that stuff. There's not many of us out there connected at this time that could have those full-blown conversations, right? You're still like matrix bound in these scenarios that you just feel like so like you're just like, oh, like who wants to have those type of conversations? But from what I'm realizing is that you really have to, put yourself into your physical body, really, you know, look around you, and yeah, you can be detached, and yeah, like I don't eat any of meat anymore, any fish, and I miss fish and chicken the most, but like I don't eat any of that. I don't drink alcohol. Not saying that you guys have to, but like that's just, I'm not, my body just doesn't, it rejects it, doesn't want it. But like I saw somebody post the other day, like detaching the matrix, but she's like, but I still get my hair dyed and I still get my nails done. And I said it's funny because I always say to myself, I'm never gonna stop getting my nails done, even though it's like completely toxic. Your hair done, like there's certain things that you're also in a human body, so you get to live a human life. But just like watch what you're doing to your body, right? Watch what you're putting in your body, watch what you're doing to your body, making sure that you clear your body, when you do certain things, try not to eat processed foods in America, in the US right now. I mean, I know they're cleaning it up, but listen, it's not as clean as European food for shit sure. You know, that's bottom line. Just make sure like you're eating healthy, you're eating what's right for you. And I'm not talking about like when you're binging because you just had like a major download and you're trying to integrate that and stuff and you're like you're grabbing for me it's like the chips. Like I grab the chips, I grab like pizza, I grab like anything that's like heavy and densifying so like it'll like bring me here and ground. But you know, like you could be eating sweet potatoes and couscous and like all these like better choices, but for some reason when I do like these really huge integrations, like that's what my body craves, and chocolate. And I've also been trying to stay away from like dairy, but like cow's milk more than anything because it's just like the hormones that are injected into those things are insane. But I digress, and let's go back to like just wrapping up October. You have the Three Eye Atlas coming in. You have, I want to, it's funny because like everybody's like, oh, we're having like, visitors and this and that. We are the visitors. So what, your star family is coming in? Great. So, like start talking to your star family if you're not already. Like if they pop up, that's great, right? So you're like, oh, hey, how's it going? Bet you're enjoying life like not on this planet. But there's a lot of people coming in for reinforcement right now. And use your discernment on things. And I'm pretty sure like at this point it's very heightened and you're very well aware of situations and who's, still wearing the mask and who refuses to take off the mask and watching people attempt to take accountability and embody that, but they don't allow themselves to fully go. And, like watching those people really drift and like circle back down into that, negativity and density, and like you having to let go, right? It's literally, it's you gotta let people go. You gotta let people do their own journey. And I know like a lot of us started off like, oh my God, we could fix anyone, anything, anyone, push and make it happen. And that's like more of, survival because you're pushing, you're making it happen. You're taking control of the situation and, come to find out it's more of like, okay, like you let it go, you kind of sit back and, you're like, it's fine. Like it's all good. Like I have $5 in my checking account, but I have to just be, it's cool because this is obviously the lesson that I have to process. I can't fear that I have $5 in my checking account because the universe will provide when I am relaxed enough to be on that level, right? You gotta be on that level. I also wanted to address the fact that, we hold the power. And I say that all the time, right? I can't stress that enough. We hold the power. A lot of things are shifting, right? Earth herself is shifting majorly. On top of the new moon, we had, Scorpio season come in to play. We had major solar flares that were knocking out everything, like, Wi-Fi wise, like all systems were going down. You have so many things coming into play, and like a lot of people don't realize what's actually going on. But it's just all the pulling back. The veil is so thin, and if you allow yourself to see that, you will see that. It's not like that you won't. It's just you won't allow yourself to, maybe, but everything is just right there in plain sight. And just keep loving on yourself and taking care of yourself all the time and really honoring yourself and how far you've come and all of the versions of you that it took to get here. Because I think that's the coolest, whether you were an asshole, like before and you're not now, but just it's truly amazing, right? Like how, you do, evolve and you do keep evolving and we will continue to evolve because again, we as humans will never be perfect and we will always be evolving because our light body are just more will just keep coming in and coming in and coming in and coming in. And I keep saying like is there how much more is there to remember? And it's like I kind of stick my foot in my mouth because I'm like, oh, okay, here we go down the rabbit hole again. Like, remembering, oh, there's that. So there's, So, like there's still like remembering to happen. There's still like lots of things like coming into play and just my whole thing is you should feel a lot clearer right now. And you're going to start feeling a lot lighter because you're not holding the weight of anything that hasn't been unsaid. You're not holding the weight of connections that weigh you down, even if you didn't realize that they were weighing you down. Connections that are weighing you down. What else? Anything else they want to bring in since they had me jump on like very early? The fact that you really need to honor yourself. Yeah, I addressed that already. Honor who you truly are and don't dim your light for anyone. And if you feel like you're dimming your light, then that's not the situation for you. And before you know it, it'll probably be yanked out of your life anyway. So just so just go, okay, and just like let it go. Um, but yeah, like this is a crucial time, guys. I mean, we're really ending a 9 year. Um, and it's just going to, 2026 is going to be pretty cool for us on this collective anyway. It's gonna be very interesting. Your whole new version of life, your whole new version of you, and everything else that comes with it. Whether it's moving and you don't know how you're getting from A to B, but all of a sudden, you're in a different state and you're like, okay, how the hell did I get here? Like just everything's going to be moving. Well, I could say you're in a different state of mind too, it's a different state of being. It's just it's going very fast. And I think I said that in the beginning of October is that October was a speedy month, right? So whatever was coming up, it was like literally it was coming up, it was processing it, and then like moving on. It was like on a double time, more like a quadruple time, but whatever. It was on an accelerated speed. So I think that's what I'm going to leave you with. But always remember that you're reprogramming, you're remembering or remembering, reprogramming. Anxiety, if you are feeling anxiety, would be more like, you know, well, like energetic anxiety is kind of picking up on the things around you and knowing that you don't quite fit into these situations and you're like in these situations and your body's just like, oh my God, it's not aligning with me. I don't align with that anymore. So it's just your body telling you that you're not in alignment. If you're getting like anxiety symptoms like I do right before like a major, like download or shift, that's your body, getting ready to release everything, that was holding you back from that shift. So, or in order for you to shift, on that level. So, take that into consideration. But, your beliefs are changing, like you're remembering a lot. And, like things are just mind blowing. Like even to yourself, you're just like, wow, I just went through that. Wow, like wow. Um, but yeah, so forever evolving, always growing, same thing. And honoring yourself and always remember to honor every single version of yourself. So until next time, guys, peace out.